Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to you on Market Today. It's Wednesday and it's completely fogged out in Delhi. It's a nice wintry morning. Let's hope the same sentiment prevails on Dalal Street today. I'm your host, Shail Bhatnagar. Let's look at the basic details before we get to Gaurang Shah, who will be guiding us throughout the day as far as markets are concerned. The Nifty ended 90 points higher after a 7-day slide, ending at 23,180 on Dalal Street yesterday. If you look at the cues that are coming in from overseas markets, in particular bond yields and particular crude oil, the bounce on the Dow Jones index, there is some positivity, a bit of negativity, and a lot of things to look forward to. Let's deal with them one by one. Yesterday on Dalal Street, you had a huge traction coming in as far as mid caps were concerned, small caps were concerned. Both the mid cap and the small cap index showed more than a 1 percentage point uptick on their stocks. Apart from that, you have a very strong rally taking root on public sector banks. That's mainly on account of the government allowing fresh QIP, fresh fundraise. Therefore, the likes of Indian Overseas Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, Central Bank, IDFI Bank, all of them rose in strong double digits. Apart from that, very strong rally was witnessed in the erstwhile favorite defense space. Therefore, you had a very strong move on Mazgaon, up 10%. News coming in that 3 Navy ships will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi today in Mumbai is the reason why the stock rose so sharply in Tuesday's trade. Apart from that, the trader-friendly and very high beta set of Adani stocks was in top form. So there is some form of risk on trade which is returning back on Dalal Street ahead of the budget, which is now 13 sessions away. Now let's look at what is the lone negative that is there in the Indian markets. That is net FII sales. Yesterday's number is plus 8,000 crores. That is, they have exited by another 8,000 crore rupees on Indian equities. Overall, in the month of January alone, about 32,000 crores worth of net FII sales have been observed in the first fortnight of this particular month. This is painful. Their short positions on the index haven't reduced, and anywhere you see a bounce, you see foreign institutional investors pressing heavy sales. Apart from that, the sentiment today will be dominated again by public sector banks, again by defense stocks, and maybe some parts of fertilizers, some parts of other PSUs will also come back into action. The theme remains the same. We are hoping against hope that the pre-budget rally will now start. It hasn't for the last 2 weeks, but as they say, there is always hope in hope. So please keep an eye out on PSU banks. Their first move came in yesterday after days, months and weeks of very heavy selling pressure. Look for stocks that are benefiting from a weak rupee. Every single day we hit a new record low on our currency, mainly because of the rising US 10-year yield, and therefore pharma stocks and of course software stocks should be in top form. Volume has returned back on Dalal Street as of yesterday's trade. Very heavy positioning was seen in Adani counters such as Adani Power, Adani Total Gas, Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises. Please keep an eye out on this theme as well, and of course we'll be keeping an eye out on stocks such as SBI Card, SBI Life. Most of them are rising from multi-month lows. Probably there is some trade left as far as markets are concerned on the long side. We'll be shortly joined by Mr. Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Securities. A little later, Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst at Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One, will be joining us. We are smack in the middle of the week. As far as the weekly pressure is concerned, tomorrow is the weekly expiry of the Nifty, and so far we've seen some action on the long side as far as stocks in the metal space are concerned. Look at Hindalco. It rose 4.8% yesterday in futures at 593. There was an uptick in open interest as well, up 4.3%. NBFCs are showing a comeback. Shriram Finance Bajaj Finserv and Bajaj Finance were amongst the major gainers on the Nifty. A stock split here on Shriram Finance has made it a little more affordable. The stock rose 4.4% and an open interest of tick of 2% was seen in Shriram Finance futures. Bajaj Finance is in top shape, 7369. The futures closed 2.8% higher in trade today. Ditto for Bajaj Finserv, 2.9% higher, 1723. And open interest was up 6.4%. There is hope for HCL Tech after yesterday's drubbing of 9% both in futures and in cash. The counter is now sort of stabilizing around 1802 in the futures market, and with this rise in open interest, so short build up was seen yesterday. The counter rose with an open interest of 21%. Please keep an eye out on this one. It was also the most active future in terms of volumes on the Lal Street as far as the F&O space is concerned. What else is looking good on the long side? Well, there is pretty much little to say because the last week was very painful for the entire F&O space, in particular Nifty stocks. If you look at the weekly advanced decline ratio between last Thursday and now, you have only 6 stocks in the Nifty which are in the green, and they are low index weight stocks. SBI Life is up 2.5%, TCS up 2.1%. So it's only metals. JSW Steel, Hindalco, Infosys, Britannia, these were the very few gainers. Now let's also look at the losing side. There's profit booking happening, in fact excessive profit booking happening on Trent. 6190 for you. The counter is down about 8% in the past 5 trading sessions, and this is something which is worrisome. Remember, Trent was a huge outperformer all of last year, and it's in a bit of pain. That's how the situation is as far as the Nifty is concerned. We'll also look at the mid-cap Nifty group. Remember, the mid-cap index shone brightly yesterday. If you look at the overall chart of the mid-cap index, especially the Nifty mid-cap select index, it is now trying to save its 200-day DMA after 7 days of insistent selling. The index rose 1.83% yesterday, and this is a recovery which is from late June lows. You saw this price on 12th of June. Many stocks and many indices, ladies and gentlemen, are now testing the mid-June low of 2024. Remember, this low was the one that was set on election day results, which were not inimical, which were not to the liking of the Lal Street. So this is froth. This is a lot of problem that the market faced at that point of time, and excessive valuations are the reasons, among the reasons why you see this sharp correction in the Nifty. Let's look at the Nifty in particular. This index hit a high of 26,200 in September, and over the last 100 odd days you've seen it correct about 12.34% on the index alone. This level was last seen on 10th of June, and chances are that the most recent low is the worst that is behind us. But sustained F&O selling and the fact that you have a lot of pain still left in the market in terms of overvaluation are the reasons why you see this FI number of minus 8,000 crore rupees in the market. What else would we like to look forward to as far as prices are concerned? It's the stocks that are rising with a dip in open interest, which essentially means that there is a buildup of long positions and short covering. The first name that comes to my mind is Aurobindo Pharma, up 1.4% at 1178. Please keep an eye out on this one. Look at the entire FMCG pack. There is a lot of hectic activity happening on stocks such as Berger Paints, 2.6. Signs of life at multi-month lows, in particular Colgate. What remains in pain is, of course, the likes of United Spirits, which very recently was at a record high, but the company's management change is happening at the top. That's an issue. Look at Kalyan Jewelers. For the past week gone by, the counter's down 15%. Look at Varun Beverages. For the past 5 trading sessions, the stock has lost 6.7%. But what is in heavy demand, at least as of yesterday, was the entire PSU basket. And that's easily visible from the kind of gains that you've seen on Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank of India, IDBI Bank, and of course Bank of Maharashtra. Anywhere between 13 to 19% was the rally that you saw in the entire PSU basket as of the banking basket as of yesterday. We'll go by this on one by one and look at the kind of gains that had come in. But what we'll do is we'll pay attention to the pre-open rates. As of now, the Nifty is trying to open 115 points higher at 23,293. Let's look at the index heavyweight space. What are the stocks that are contributing to this uptick? And it starts with Reliance, 32 rupees higher, 1271. This is indeed looking good. What else is in gains? It's SBI, 7 rupees 30 higher at 758. Tata Motors is at 774, 3.84% higher, 3.8 rupees higher. There is Infosys flat but still in the green, 2 rupees higher, 1940. Hindustan Unilever, 8 rupees higher, 2376. HDFC Bank now, the index heavyweight, the heaviest space is 2 rupees higher, 1652. What is not looking good? Okay, there is TCS, 25 rupees lower. There is Bajaj Finserv, 13 rupees lower. Axis and ICICI Bank respectively 9.5 and 5 rupees lower. We'll very quickly look at the top gainers in the NSE 500, and for the moment you have a strong move that is coming into SW Solar, 8% higher. You have JK Tires, 6% higher. Sobha Limited, 5% higher. And of course it's the entire Adani group which remains in top focus. Okay, we track 10 Adani group stocks for you. All 10 of them are in the green. What we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we'll shift emphasis and speak to Osho Krishnan, Senior Research Analyst, Technicals and Derivatives at Angel One. Namaste Osho ji, a very warm welcome to you. Any view that you would have on the Nifty at this present moment? Is the worst behind us, or are we still in for some pain?
Very good morning, sir. Firstly, thank you for having me at the show. Well, looking at the overall setup of Nifty, what we are observing that it is at a very strong support of a falling wedge. The wedge is approximately from the lows that we have seen in the month of August. It's unmuted. Am I audible? Hello. Hello. Good morning.
I think the PCR will again try and reconnect with Osho. Osho, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. Even
I think there's a sound problem with Osho's connection with me. What we'll also try and do is connect Mr. Gaurang Shah on a phone. But till that time, let us pay attention to what is happening in the pre-open space. Let's focus on the FNO space and look at stocks that are outperforming. Of course, Chola Fin, about 1% higher. Railway stocks are led by IRFC, 3% higher on 140.5. There is Crompton Greaves, 2.2% higher at 366. And of course, as I have mentioned, the entire Adani group stocks are in top form. The power space is ticking in the green. You have NHPC and CESE, both up about 2% each. Let's see if we can re-establish contact with Osho. Osho, can you hear me?
Very good morning, Shail sir. I can hear you.
Namaste and a very warm welcome to you, Osho. Your view on the Nifty, is the worst behind us or is there more pain ahead?
Firstly, looking at the technical setup, Nifty is at a very strong support of a falling wedge. The lower band of the wedge is approximately around the zone of 22,900, 23,000 odd level. So I'm expecting that here onwards, when the market is already very oversold, so falling from here onwards can be a challenging scenario. But again, on the higher end, even with yesterday's pullback, a kind of a pullback or recovery that we have seen, I'm not very much bullish in the market as of now, but I am expecting that in the coming period, there can be some kind of breather, some kind of consolidation that can be seen around the zone of 23,300 to 23,500. So this will be the immediate resistance zone for Nifty, which I am expecting. While on the lower end, 23,000 mark should be acting as a very strong support in the near period. So I'm expecting 23,000 should remain intact as a support, while on the higher end, 23,350, which is the bearish gap, that is the intermediate resistance for Nifty, followed by 23,500. So this is the very strong resilience zone for Nifty. Once it crosses over 23,500, then we have to look for buying opportunity or bullish bets in the market. Till that time, it is advisable to look for short opportunities on any rise towards the zone of 23,500.
Okay, 23,500 is what Ocho is looking at. Will that be the start of a fresh up move or will that be a dead cat bounce? Only time will tell. But for the moment, we are at 24,250. The index has settled 74 points higher on the Nifty. The bank index is 100 points higher, 48,832. The IT index now in the green. Yesterday it was beat in black and blue mainly on because of the 9% loss on HCL Tech. Now up 130, and of course you have the NSE 500 also about 0.5% higher at 91, up 91 at 21,572. Osho, yesterday we had a very sharp uptick on Masgaon dock. Probably that was because of today's inauguration by the Prime Minister on 3 Navy ships. What are the charts of Masgaon dock telling you? Yesterday the counter rose 10% from its 200-day moving average.
See, overall, there has been very positive development, or we can say that there has been very strong pullback that was witnessed in this counter yesterday. It has reversed from the 200 the simple moving average and has recouped all the losses from a previous day. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there is a probability for this counter to continue its upward movement. While on the lower end, the cluster of moving average, which is approximately around the zone of 2180, 2200 levels, is supposed to provide very strong support in this in the near period. While on the higher end, I'm expecting that the counter has a potential to move towards the zone of 2450 in the short term period. So overall, the scenario remains bullish, and I'm expecting that any kind of dip, which is very not very much likely to be seen in with the news flow in this counter. So I'm expecting that any kind of even dip or continued momentum in this counter can be seen as a buying opportunity for immediate target of 2400 to 2450 for very short term perspective.
Okay, let's just also look at the PSU basket and find out how the trend, if at all, has continued today or not within the PSU space. Okay, this is a bit interesting. Uh, NBCC 1.3% higher, MMTC 1.9% higher, Dredging Corporation 2% higher, NICIL 2.5% higher, IRFC is the top play 3% higher. What are showing signs of profit booking? Okay, yesterday's gainers are today's top losers. IDBI is trying to open 6% lower. Indian Overseas Bank 4.5% lower. Remember, they posted very strong gains in the last 40-45 minutes of trade yesterday on news that the government has allowed a QIP and probably a stake sale as well in 3 or 4 small banks, which is Central Bank, UCO Bank, IOB. Bank of Maharashtra is trying to open 1.74% lower. So that's the state of play as far as the PSU basket is concerned. Within rail, it's the IRFC. Charts of IRFC for you, Osho, what are they telling you? It's trying to open 3% higher at 140.
Yes, overall, the technical structure for this counter remains sideways because if I have to say the consolidation range was approximately around the zone of 135 towards the zone of 150-55. So this is the immediate consolidation zone or range for this counter. So I'm expecting that today's with a gap up opening, the counter is expected to move on the higher space, but I'm expecting until it breaches the zone of 155, which is again at 10 or 15 points higher from here onwards, the counter remains sideways. But for short-term traders, yes, definitely there is an opportunity to accumulate for another 15 points of rally, kind of 15 points of rally in this counter. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, the zone of nearly 135, 132 should be acting as a very strong support, while on the higher end, 155 remains the intermediate resilience. And once it breaches the zone of 155, then we can see another set of 20-25 points of rally in this counter. But for short term, one can definitely accumulate for 15 points of rally in this counter.
Okay. According to you, Gorang, any two stocks or two stock charts or futures charts that look good? Osho, the question was meant for you.
Acha, okay. The counter, like, firstly, I am having a bullish bet in SBI because of two reasons. Firstly, the counter have seen a very drastic plunge, and in the last trading session, there has been a very strong recovery from the oversold terrain. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, this counter has a potential to reach towards the zone of 790, 795. So SBI can be seen as a buying opportunity, while on the lower end, the support of 730, which is day before yesterday's closer, is a very strong support. So I'm expecting one can definitely accumulate this counter at current levels. 730 should be seen as a stop loss, and on the higher end, 730 is the immediate target that one can expect. The other one is Hindalco. Hindalco is looking very positive to me in front of kind of a pullback is expected in this counter. So nearly 594 is the pre-opening price, but I'm expecting any dip towards the zone of 590 should be seen as a buying opportunity in this counter. On the higher end, 620 is the intermediate resilience or can be seen as the first target, while on the lower end, 580 should be kept as a stop loss in this counter.
Right. Just the right time to welcome Mr. Gaurang Shah, but on a phoner this time. नमस्ते गौरांग जी, स्वागत आपका. बताइए कुछ इम्प्रूवमेंट आप सेंटिमेंट में देखते हैं दलाल स्ट्रीट पर कल की एक हल्के से हरे निशान की वजह से, या ये सिर्फ एक डेड कैट बाउंस है? मेरे ख्याल से दोबारा हम लोग कनेक्ट करने की कोशिश करेंगे गौरांग जी को. आज दिल्ली में फॉग के कारण शायद बहुत सारे ऑडियो शोज़ हमारे पीसीआर में आपको होते हुए दिख रहे हैं. बाज़ार खुलने में सिर्फ 25 सेकंड. देखते हैं किस हिसाब से आपको मूवमेंट आता हुआ दिखता है. ध्यान दीजिए, एफआई नेट सेल कल 8,000 करोड़ रुपए के ऊपर थी और वो एक बहुत ही गहरा चिंता का विषय है, क्योंकि बढ़ते बाज़ार में अगर बिकवाली बढ़ती है तो हम लोग हमारे गोरे मित्रों को कुछ ज़्यादा ही अच्छा एग्जिट देते हुए दिख रहे हैं. रुपए की कमज़ोरी और ख़ासकर ओवर वैल्यूएशन की वजह से बाज़ार में खासी दिक्कतें वैसे ही हैं. आइए, बाज़ार खुलता हुआ 93 पॉइंट्स हायर ऑन द निफ्टी. वी हैव रिलायंस 5 रुपीज़ हायर. वी हैव टाटा मोटर्स 4 रुपीज़ हायर, 777. There is HDFC Bank 6 rupees higher. So Reliance and HDFC Bank are two heavyweights. Infosys also marginally in the green. And let's look at ICICI Bank. This is in the red, about 4 rupees lower, 1238. Overall, the Nifty is opening 65 points higher, 23,240. The Nifty Bank is opening 200 points up at 48,900. The IT index is 120 points higher, and there is a very nice green tick on the NSE 500 too. Let's look at what the other spaces are doing within the PSU back. Okay, the rally in railway and defense now is getting to be stronger. RVNL and IRCON from the railway space are up more than 2% each. IRFC has added 1.3%. Let's look at the overall market and then we'll go to the PSU banking space. Okay, a fresh start. About 1600 stocks are in the green, 430 in the red. We tracked 19 indices for you. Of them, 17 are in the green. What is the Nifty PSU banking index doing? Flat, 6142. Now let's look at the PSU basket on the banking side. That was in top form all of yesterday. Let's look at what they are doing now. Okay, the bigger ones are up. Union Bank 0.4% higher, Canara Bank, Bank of India up 0.1% each. How about Maharashtra Bank? 3% lower, 50.75. Indian Overseas Bank 7.5% lower. Central Bank. So it's profit booking happening. Osho, anything that catches your fancy?
See, from here onwards, I will better wait for some time because overall, the market seems to be on the bearish front only, and there is some strong counters which are looking some positive or which are giving some kind of positive momentum. So I'll wait for another 15-20 minutes so that the market, once it Nifty reaches towards the zone of 23,300 zone, then there can be some possibility of finding some sell call in the market.
Okay, fair point. So you want to sell the rise, which is
Yes.
for the moment 50 points higher on the Nifty, 132 points higher on the Bank Nifty. Fair point. And let's look at India VIX too. It's in the green. This is the fear index. 15.5 is what we see. Again, the action is in some form on the Adani Group stocks. Let's focus on them. You have a very smart move coming in on Adani Green, 3.3% higher. That's the only one that is showing traction. The rest of them have bit gains, but let's not pay attention to them so far. It seems that the market is using this opportunity on the higher side to press in sales. Okay, nevertheless, let's look at top gainers. 4% higher on the Bombay Stock Exchange, 56.64. You have Maruti shaping up well, 2.5% higher, 12,050. Osho, the entire auto space is now in thick trade. Maruti, Mahindra and Mahindra, Escorts are showing signs of activity. What would be your favorite pick on the long side?
See, overall, even I am expecting that there is a higher possibility that the whole auto pack can see some kind of a strong reversal in the short-term period. So from here onwards, if it is expected, and I have some bullish sentiments associated with Maruti and M&M. These two have made a very decent movement in the last few couple of trading sessions. Maruti specifically have seen a very strong recovery from the lower zone. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there is a probability of Maruti to outperform the whole market. I'm expecting with today's move, once it breaches the zone of 200 is simple moving average, then there is a higher possibility of it reaching towards the zone of 12,600, 700 odd levels. While M&M is also looking very positive to me, but for M&M, the resilience remains intact towards the zone of 3120 and 3150. So until it crosses the zone of 3150, it might hover within a range of for example, 2900, which 2950, which is the 100 exponential moving average on the lower end, and 3150 on the higher end. So this is the immediate range. But even I am having a bullish approach in M&M, and any kind of breakthrough above 3150 can provide a very strong thrust for approximately 400 kind of a target on the higher end. So these two counters are looking positive. Again, from auto ancillaries and other counters in the auto space, Uno Minda is looking very positive to me. It has been consolidating near the 100-day exponential moving average. And in the last four trading session, the counter has seen some kind of strong volatility. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, there is a high possibility for this counter to give a breakout. And approximately 1180 to 1200 will be the immediate trading range that one can immediate target range that one can expect on the higher front in this counter.
Fair point. Apart from that, the entire auto ancillary space is also doing well. Rane engine 2% higher, about 381. You have endurance technologies 3% higher, 2088. You have ASK auto 1.25% higher. We track somewhere like maybe 50, 52 companies in the auto ancillary space. A good 25 of them are in the green, although gains are on the minus side. Osho had started with his view on State Bank of India. This is also now looking good. SBI at the moment, let's see the positioning of the chart, well below its 200-day DMA, but this is a low of actually lower than June 4th. This is interesting. So SBI actually is bouncing from its lowest level since 21st of March. Is there a swing trade in the making? Let's get Osho's view in. Osho.
Yes, for SBI, you were asking.
Yes.
Yes, definitely for SBI. Even I'm having a kind of a bullish sentiments because of two reasons. One, the counter have seen a very drastic plunge from the zone of 870 towards 720, 730 odd levels, and which made the technical parameters come to very oversold parameters, which is very rare scenario in SBI. And from here onwards, in the last trading session, there has been a very positive momentum or very positive recovery that has been seen. So it has given a positive crossover at the oversold terrain. So this is a very positive signal for the technical from a technical parameter. So I'm expecting that in the coming period, this counter has a very strong potential to have a very strong surge towards the zone of 780, 790 on immediate basis, while 730 should be seen as a very strong support base for this counter.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll take a mild detour into the FNO space where the advanced decline ratio is almost 1:1. 108 futures are in the green versus 116 that are in the red. Now, what are the gainers? Among them, you have the Bombay Stock Exchange as the top performer. 5678. What a number. That's what futures are trading at, 4.2% higher. From the Adani stable, you have Adani Green and newer entrants coming into this game. Look at HDFC AMC, 2.7% higher. This is, let's look at the chart of HDFC AMC. Again, below 200-day DMA, it's the third day of rally that is coming in. I think there is some momentum on the long side as far as the Bajaj group is concerned. I'm seeing a lot of stocks from that space doing pretty well. Bajaj Auto, well below 200-day DMA, is now 1.9% higher, 87.87. Bajaj Finance led a very sharp move yesterday, about 1% lower, but this is something that is looking good on the charts. Bajaj Auto for you, Osho, any views here?
Yes, for Bajaj Auto, this counter has been into a kind of a correction phase. It is hovering below the 20-day exponential moving average, but the technical parameters are having some kind of positive divergence because the technical parameters are gradually moving on the higher space while the price action is still into a downward movement. So this is a kind of a positive movement, but I'm expecting that until it crosses the zone of 9,000, one should not be very much aggressive on the bullish bets in this counter because currently it is not even able to cross the 20-day or 21-day exponential moving average. That is the short-term moving average. So I'm expecting that once it breaches the zone of 9,000 on a closing basis, decisive manner, then one can look for buying opportunity in this counter. Else, it's better to stay sidelines. Currently, the counter is in the formation of having a strong base. So better to wait for this counter to breach the zone of 9,000. Once it breaches it, one can definitely accumulate for a higher target of nearly, firstly, approximately 97, 9800, which is the 200 simple moving average, and then gradually one can expect 10,200 kind of a levels in discount.
Okay, not a problem. 926. Now, some of the stocks are showing signs of strength, at least on the index heavyweight size. Look at Reliance, it is 1% higher. Can't remember the last time Reliance providing this kind of support to the Nifty. It's contributing 11 points to Nifty's total of 60. LNT 11 points again to the contribution of Nifty, 1.1% higher on Larsen. Infosys 0.5% higher. Maruti and Bajaj Auto respectively 2.7, 2% higher. What is pulling down the index? Well, it's the banking space. ICICI, Axis and HDFC Bank are in the red, and therefore all put together, that's 21 plus 6, 27 points in the red because of these two stocks. What else is now moving in? Zomato, again, yesterday's move was fairly decent from a very good support level. Let's look at Zomato's charts for you. Okay, 200 DMA is holding on this very high beta stock. Your view after 7-8 days of consistent selling, Osho, on Zomato?
See, overall, this counter has corrected decently from a higher zone towards the 200 simple moving average. And now the technical parameters have also turned down towards the oversold terrain. So any kind of consolidation around the same levels of 235, 200 or higher movement can provide some kind of a strong momentum or some kind of positive technical triggers in this counter. But as of now, until we see a kind of a breather in this counter or consolidation around these levels, one should stay sidelines. Better to accumulate it higher on the higher end, approximately around 245, 50 odd levels, or wait for further correction towards 220 odd levels. So these two are the zone where one can definitely try to accumulate. If the fall continued, then 225, 230 will be seen as a very strong or an apt level to accumulate this counter, while on the higher end, movement above the zone of 245 or around 250 can be seen as a buying opportunity in this counter.
Fair point. This is the view that is coming in on Zomato. Let's see what else is buzzing. We have Angel One. The earnings came in day before yesterday. They were disappointing, but the stock had already corrected very, very sharply yesterday, over the last 1 month or so. So from a high of 3,500, the stock bounced off 2,300 yesterday and is now up 2.2%. Your view, Osh, any view
Uh,
that you would hold on Angel One?
As per compliance issue, I cannot have any kind of view which can be shared on any public domain, so I cannot say anything about my own company.
Yes. No issues at all. Absolutely no problems. It slipped my mind that you were from Angel. No issues at all. But how about BSE?
See, for BSC, yes, this counter is moving mostly on the sentimental thing that there have been very positive reports regarding the higher targets of BSC. So on that basis, there has been a continuation in the positive terrain for this counter. Overall, the technical structure was already very positive. The 50-day exponential moving average historically has always provided some kind of cushioning to this counter. But the last two trading sessions, the counter has been gaining drastically, approximately 4%, 3% on every day in last two trading sessions have given a kind of a sentimental boost to this company. But I am expecting that on the higher end, 5,800 will be the immediate or can be seen as a very strong zone where one can definitely watch that whether it will breakthrough above this zone? If yes, then it can definitely move towards the zone of 6,000 in a very short term period. If not, then it might consolidate within a range of 5,400 to 5,800 for a short term perspective. So those who are already holding position, they need to be very watchful. Once it reaches the zone of 5,800, it's better to always trail the profits in this counter. If it breaches 5,800, then next potential target will be approximately 6,000. But if it does not, then the possibility of counter testing 5,400 is quite high as of now.
Okay, fair point. I think the stock for today from the Adani Group should be Adani Ports. This is something that is moving in very strong shape, and of course, we've seen a terrible time that this counter has faced, much below June 4th lows, if they mattered at all. What is now being seen is a price that was last seen in 10th of Jan, 1 year ago. So it's a 1 year low on Adani Ports, and this is probably something which is worthy of Osho's attention. 1133, 15 rupees higher. Osho, your view?
See, overall, this counter has been into a corrective phase from the month of August 24, and there has been no strong recovery that was seen in this counter. So I'm expecting until it breaches the zone of 20-day exponential moving average and sustain above it, one should remain sidelines in this counter because there has been no strong recovery or no sustenance that is being seen in this counter. So I'm expecting that on the higher end, until it crosses 1200 on a decisive manner, one should stay sidelines in this counter, while on the lower end, this counter has a history of testing the oversold terrain, then having a pullback. So for trading perspective, yes, one can definitely try to accumulate it at current levels for a target of nearly 1190 to 1200 zone. But from an investment perspective, one should stay sidelines until it crosses the zone of 1200, 1220 on a decisive manner.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:32, the first 15-17 minutes of trade have lapsed. Let's just pay attention to the Nifty. The high in the morning of the first 5 minutes was 23,273. It met with sustained selling pressure. So the call writer of 23,300 became active, and since then the index has slipped below today's pivot that is being tested. So 23,190 is the pivot level. Let us see whether it holds or not. What is in strength? It's Reliance. What is in weakness? The private sector banking space. So please keep these 2 or 3 thoughts in mind if you are trading the Nifty. What about the Bank Nifty? Okay, the day's high was 49,000, which was also yesterday's high. So that has not been taken out. That's a bit worrisome, and it's the call writer at 49,000 that got very active, pressing sales there. Now at 48,757, just marginally in the green. What else is in strong show? Let's look at the broader markets. NSE 500, ladies and gentlemen, is in the red, and this is not looking good at all. Advanced decline has slipped and is now in favor of bears. 1278 shares are in the red, 978 are in the green. What about the mid cap index? Okay, down 0.2%. What about the small cap index? Down 4%. Down 0.4%. PSU banks are facing extreme selling pressure now. The index is also down 0.2%. Very little hope on the long side, ladies and gentlemen. The Nifty is now slipping into the red. It is at also the day's low. So this is how the structure of the market is at the moment. Is there something of importance on the green side that I can tell you? Not really, but this is also a good time to look at volume buzzers, especially in the NSE 500. Okay, well spun living. This used to be a very good high quality mid cap counter. It slipped dramatically, but now up 6% today, 156. Very, very high volume of 68 lakh shares. Osho, do you track Wellspun Living?
Yes, this counter have gained decently, and the overall technical structure is also quite uh, sideways to bullish. So I'm expecting that with the volume-based movement in today's trading session, there can be a continuation towards the higher end. But again, the 200 simple moving average is around the zone of 160. So I'm expecting that until it breaches the zone of 160, one should not become very much aggressive in this counter and wait for uh, uh, the zone to get breached and then can definitely accumulate for higher target of nearly 176.
Okay. What else is in the green? Profit booking on Indian Overseas Bank, Central Bank, IDBI, UCO Bank. They are down in heavy single digits and on heavy volumes. So yesterday's move was not welcomed by the market, and it is now accompanied by selling pressure. Within the Adani pack today, it's Adani Green's turn, 4% higher, 1052. We'll stay away from this one. Uh, these are the ones that I want to mark. IRFC started out in strength but met with selling pressure, now in the red, 136.2. Uh, that's it is. Is there a stock that has hit an all-time high? Well, none at all. Uh, Suven Pharma is 7% higher on very heavy volumes, and so is Shoppers Stop, up 7% at 661. This is a stock that we haven't discussed for a very, very long time. For the last 5 months or so, it's in pain. Shoppers Stop, Osho, when was the last time you saw their charts?
Definitely not just now. As you have mentioned, I look on the technical front for this counter because this is not a very trader fancy stock. So people generally do not watch this counter. But overall, if I have to say the technical view in this technical perspective, then there has been a very strong consolidation of approximately from the year on year basis, not on month, but year on year basis. The counter has been hovering in a range of 600 to 750 odd levels, and currently it is at a kind of a very strong support and has started gaining some traction. So I expect that in the short term perspective, on the technical front, there is a possibility of a resurgence in this counter towards the zone of 750 on immediate basis, followed by 800 odd level. So this is the immediate trading range for this counter. 600 to 750, 800 on the higher end is the immediate range, and one should have their trading approach accordingly, that one should buy on the dips around the zone of 600, 620, while try to book around the zone of 750 to 800.
Okay, that's something that is looking pretty good on the charts. Let's also uh, look at some interesting themes that are now coming up. MCX for one, 2.4% higher. Hindustan Unilever, 0.5% higher. And what else should be pointed out amongst the NSE 500 shares? Okay, these are the ones that I marked. Let's look at some losers. Laurus Labs slipping sharply lower. Divi's Labs down 3%. Shriram Finance slipping lower. Ipca Labs, Glenmark, Syngene, Lupin. So these were the stocks that were in thick action on the long side, but are now showing signs of profit booking as far as prices are concerned. What else is moving? Something that you notice, Osho?
See, counters where there has been some strong plunge that are being noticed by me for now. For example, Asian Paint is looking very weak. It is at a 52 weeks low, so I'm expecting that there can be a continuation in this counter on the lower end. So I'm expecting that one should try to trade in such counters with a lower target of nearly 2200. So that is a kind of a trade that one can definitely expect in today's trading session, apart from the long that has been seen in the last trading session. So one should be very much flexible with the sentiments that are being built in the market, because already I was having a view of sell on the right. So Asian Paint will be the first counter where one can try to have a short bet for the day.
Okay, uh, that's the one that is being talked about on Asian Paints, but Adani Ports and Adani Green are the stocks from the Adani stable that are doing well. Let's just revisit Adani Power. It almost hit a 20% circuit yesterday. I had very casually checked that circuit when the counter was up 7-8%, but very, very strong move. Anything that enthuses you in Adani Power, Osho? This was a sectoral move with Torrent Power, CESE, NTPC, Tata Power, all of them rising yesterday. What are the charts on Adani Power telling you?
See, for Adani Power, the counter is still hovering below the sloping trend line, which is approximately around the zone of 555, 560 odd levels, and even which complies well with the coincides with the 100 exponential moving average. So I'm expecting that until it breaches the same thing on the higher end, one should stay sidelines, because the counter have seen a kind of a, or has been into a sloping channel based trading. So until we see a decisive breakthrough above the zone of 555 or 560, better to stay sidelines. If there will be any kind of breakthrough, then definitely one can expect a decent surge of nearly 15 to 20 odd points. So 555 plus 15, near about 570 to 80 kind of a target that can be seen on immediate basis in this counter for the short term perspective. So I will better wait for one more trading session, or if not, then in today's session, if it reaches or test the zone of 560, then can definitely accumulate for higher targets.
Okay, okay. What else is buzzing? There used to be a stock I mark regularly, which was Indigene. This is a company that came under selling pressure because of a sales number that was not to the liking of the market in the second quarter. And then there was a heavy uh, bulk deal by one of the promoters. Now 642, much above the exit price of that particular fund that sold its stake partially. So Indigene is something that should be attracting Osho's interest. Osho, is this a chart that you trade at 641? The counter is now showing some strength at least. Your view?
See, overall, this counter have seen very strong gain in the last trading session, has emerged above the short-term moving average, now has also entered the bearish gap. So I am expecting that in the short-term period, at least it has the potential to fill the bearish gap, which is till the zone of 670. So for another 30 points of movement, one can definitely try to uh, gain this momentum and try to follow the momentum. So I'm expecting 670, 675 can be seen on an very short term or immediate basis in this counter, and then we again need to review that whether the continuation can happen, or the counter can enter into some kind of profit booking or consolidation. But for now, the technical setup is very positive. I'm expecting that the zone of 625 should be acting as a very strong support, and 670 could be seen as the immediate target in this counter.
Okay. It's the entire Adani Group space which is now in top form. You have Adani Power leading the rally. 3.5% higher. We've just checked this, 599, 560 now. You have Adani Green, 5.7% higher. Let's see if there are any volume buzzers in this one on the Adani space. Yes, both Adani Power and Adani Green have already traded more than 100% of their 5-day average. Adani Green, what are the charts telling you? Let me just check the circuit on Adani Green today. We have 1071 the price, and the circuit is 1107. So that's a 10% circuit. Your view, Osho on Adani Green.
See again for Adani Green, it has surged above the 20-day exponential moving average after a very long period, and yesterday it has seen a very strong volume-based buying. So I expect with the kind of a momentum in this counter, it has historically be have also been seen that this counter have a history of having a very strong momentum continued for approximately 2 to 3 trading sessions. So I'm expecting on the basis of that, I'm expecting that there is a possibility for this counter to retest the zone of 1220 to 1250 on the short term perspective. The volume has been very decent, and also the technical parameters are witnessing a very strong crossover from the oversold territory. So I'm expecting that there can be a possibility of this counter testing the zone of 1220 followed by 1250 in the short term period.
Okay, Adani Total Gas has started to move. Actually, it's the entire power space that is in thick trade. Let's look at the BSE Power Index. That is what we have. Just a moment, please. The BSE Power Index is something that we should be tracking. Okay, this is okay, second day of gain after very serious sell off. Okay, it's 1.5% higher, and it's the entire power space that is in top shape. Let me just give you the statistics. We've discussed Adani Power. Let's look at, okay, Tata Power 1% higher, 360. NTPC is 3.2% higher. This is an erstwhile favorite. Osho NTPC at a multi-month low, 321. What are the charts telling you?
So again, the charts are quite bearish. It's not that we are witnessing any kind of very strong momentum in this counter for the time being, because overall the counter is still hovering below the 20 and 21-day exponential moving average. So until we witness a kind of a decisive breakthrough above the zone of 330, then it's better to stay sidelines. Or for day traders, one can definitely try to gauge this kind of momentum for the day trading, but from a accumulation point of time, one should wait for this counter to hover above the zone of 335, then can definitely try to accumulate from a short term perspective. But for now, the counter is still in a very lower zone. Yes, the last 2 days has been positive for it, but there has been no decisive change on the technical front. So better to wait for another 1 to 2 trading sessions, that whether there can be any kind of further continuation. If yes, try to accumulate it above the zone of 330.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of charts have been completely broken down over the last 6 months or so, especially in the PSU space. So, whatever chart checks that we are doing need to be taken with a pinch of salt. You might see a 1 or 2 day uptick, but in the overall scheme of things, the charts are bearish, as Osho has mentioned. But for the moment, for the second day in a row, you have a very strong uptick coming across the power space. Tata Power is 1.2% higher, Power Grid 1.8% higher. Adani, we've already discussed, it's now Adani Power has now shot up 5.6% higher. There is a move that is coming in on JSW Energy at 558, 1.8% higher. Again, while we do a chart check on JSW Energy, which was a very high beta counter, you will see Osho to be very cautious. 4 continuous months of sales, which have seen the counter correct from 780 down all the way to 560. Osho, JSW Energy.
See, overall, again, the same observations are there with JSW Energy also, because the counter has been hovering way below the short-term moving averages also. So these kind of 1 or 2 day kind of a positive trigger should not be seen as a buying opportunity. For day trader, yes, one can definitely try to accumulate or gauge the momentum. But for short-term investors, better to wait for the counter to have a decisive consolidation near the zone of 540, 550, while on the higher end, if it continues to breach the zone of bearish gap, which is approximately around the zone of 590, 595, then only it will see some kind of positive trigger from a technical point of view. But from a day trader's point of view, yes, one can definitely try to gauge momentum. 540 should be seen as a stop loss, while on the higher end, 575, 580 should be seen as the intermediate target for the day or maybe by two.
Okay, I have to mark Adani Power again. This is in top shape. The counter has added 5.3, is now moving above the 569, 570 trajectory. Remember, today's circuit is 644, and the last 2 days of gains have been on very heavy volume. Adani Enterprises now joins the game, and you have Adani Enterprises 2418, 1.6% higher. So the power space is the top performer today. All sorts of power producers, whether they are green power, whether they are power producers such as thermal giant NTPC, Tata Power, or whether they are power equipment makers such as BHEL, are in top form. NHPC from the hydropower space is doing well as well, 1.7% higher, 77.6 for you. This is how the structure is. Anything that catches your fancy, Osho, in the market
Uh,
now,
uh,
on the long or the short side?
See, on the long side, as you mentioned, the power sector is also only looking very positive to me. All the power sector is having some kind of a strong movement in the market. But on the other hand, there are many counters which are looking very weak. For example, Asian Paint, which I already mentioned. Then Titan also have started falling from the zone of 3300. So 3300, I was expecting that if it breaches the zone of 3300, and with the development that we witnessed in this counter yesterday, there is a possibility for this counter to test the zone of 3230 in the short term perspective. So I'm expecting that now the counter has already seen a plunge below 3300, and it has a potential to test the zone of 3230 for day trader or for 1 to 2 trading sessions. So that can be seen as an trading opportunity for the traders. On the higher end, 3320 should be kept as a stop loss, while on the lower end, 3220, 3225 should be seen as the intermediate target in this count.
Okay. An erstwhile favorite in the market, TVS Supply Chain Solutions, is also showing signs of activity. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is a company of extremely strong parentage, but it is now available at a multi-month low. You saw this price on 3rd June 2024. So this is at least a 6-month low, and also much below its IPO price, which was, I think, somewhere in the vicinity of 180 or 190 rupees. Please consult an independent financial advisor, and do take a look at TVS Supply Chain Solutions for the long term. Again, beaten down chart, nothing much to say, but the counter is 2.2% higher at 160. Osho, before we let you go, your final thoughts. The Nifty is scrapping above 23,200. Bank Nifty is 140 points higher.
See, overall,
Bit
what I
of a
expect in
gain
this,
coming in on. Yeah, tell me.
see, what I expect in this market, that one
Tell
should
me.
not be very much get complacent with the bullish bets as we have seen in the last trading session, because there is no sustainability that is being seen in the market. So for Nifty, again, until it breaches the zone of the bearish gap of 23,350, look all the rallies as a short opportunity. Same applies for Bank Nifty also. Bank Nifty is having a resilience which is scattered, because on the derivative front, the piling is quite scattered. It is having a monthly expiry, so there is no decisive positioning on the derivative front also. But I'm expecting that from here onwards, Bank Nifty has a potential to outperform Nifty in the short term period, but that is the positional view. For short term or for intraday, one can definitely look the any kind of rallies towards the zone of 49,200, 49,300 as a selling opportunity for Bank Nifty as well. But on positional basis, yes, try to look for good counters which are witnessing some kind of very positive crossovers from a oversold terrain from a short to medium term perspective, that too in a staggered manner. So that will be the advice that I would like to give. And also for traders also, it's better not to be very much aggressive on either of the side. Stay light on the positions. No need to take trade every day. So that is the view that I have in the market for now. And I expect that once market gains its sustainability on the higher end, then one can again become aggressive on the bullish side.
Okay, 9:56. Osho, thank you so much for your time. As always, it's such a pleasure listening to your commentary. And of course, we'll remember State Bank of India. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Same to you.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of play on Wednesday. We are T-1, one day before the weekly expiry of the Nifty. So far, there is, for the last half an hour or so, some sensible buying happening, from obvious profit booking happening. But the conditional view of the market remains in pain. Yesterday's net FII sale number of 8,000 crores, because the Nifty rose a bit, is disheartening. Overall, the advance decline ratio is almost 1:1. 1,200 shares in the green, 1,100 shares in the red. Out of the 19 indices that we track, about 15 are in the green, about 5 are in the red. There are bit gains and bit losses, but so far the market is trying to get its footing. What is for sure is that the Adani Group, which was always a very high beta space, after months and months of sustained selling pressure, for the last 2 days, including today, has shown attraction on the green side, led by Adani Power, and of course a strong view on the entire power space is coming, whether it's a public sector utility like NTPC or a private sector giant like Tata Power. Across the board, there is buying at multi-month lows. Will those be dead cat bounces? Only time will tell. But so far, so good. We leave the Nifty with you at 23,212, 35 points higher. The Bank Nifty 111 points higher, 48,842. The 500 index, the NSE 100 index, and the NSE 200 index are in the green. There are mild green ticks, but green nonetheless. And what else is doing well apart from the power space? It's stocks like large cap PSU banks, Canara, Bank of Baroda, and Union Bank. This is something that we will take forward while we look at the market at 2:30 p.m. But so far, it's good for the Dalal Street. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day and remain glued to Business Today Television.
Well, all right, after 10 years of the ICE counterpart, which really created a boom in the market, and of course with 11 lakh units being sold for the Creta ICE vehicle, now the EV avatar is with us, and I'm joined by the COO and the whole-time director at Hyundai Motor India Limited, Mr. Tarun Garg. Mr. Garg, thank you so much for speaking to us at Business Today TV. Happy New Year to you and your customers as well, sir. It took 10 years to get this ICE avatar. Where the incumbents have already got their ready ICE models to EVs now. Why took you so long to have the Creta, the best seller for you, to India in the EV format so late?
Chetan, in fact, I hope that you have seen our new commercial where we are very clear.